Right, so my first adventure, if you can call it that. It's not a very interesting one, it's quite short. But when I was only 4, there wasn't much I could do, and it was over fairly briefly. But what basically happened was, me and my best friend Luke, we were playing in the park outside our houses, and just suddenly this thing just burst out the ground. Like, just tunnelled out. And I think it must have only been about 4 foot tall, because we were about 4 or 5 ourselves. It's, reasonably big for a child, isn't it? And this thing was green and yellow and scaly, and it wore this black body armour, I think. I don't know whether it was whether it wore that as clothing or whether that was part of his body. I can't remember too well. It was this ugly thing with like reptilian eyes and big, massive, long claws. And this thing just looked at us, and then it rolled into a ball, like one of the Gorons on Zelda, literally like that, and started hurtling towards us. Now I managed to get out of the way, like side dodged it. But my friend Luke just ran in a straight line like an idiot when he was 4. And this thing like jumped out of his ball form and then just wrapped itself around him like that. And I don't know how it didn't impale him with its claws. So then I'm like seeing this happen, and I just panicking and don't know what to do. I just rip up this grass from over me, and I just start throwing grass at this thing. And strangely enough, it turned out that this was actually the thing's weakness. It had some sort of allergy or weakness to grass and pollen and all, and probably chlorophyll, to be honest. That's probably what it was. It was probably the chlorophyll. So this thing's like, ah! And then it like lets go of Luke, and Luke's like crying like a baby because he was 4. And this thing just goes back into a ball, goes back to its hole, jumps in the hole, and then just buggers off. And that was it. That was my first adventure. This thing's called... I found out about it later on through research, because I did actually used to have access to my TARDIS. I don't anymore. I can't even remember what happened. I think the mind block must have come at some point after all this happened, because I do remember being in my TARDIS and then not being able to get into it. So anyway, I found out this thing was called a Fennel, from the planet Fen, from the Andromeda Galaxy. And they are a underground species. They don't live on the surface of their planet. It's not habitable to them. Maybe it's covered in grass. Chlorophyll. I don't know, I haven't actually been there, I haven't seen it. All I know is these things are called Fennel. They're from the Andromeda Galaxy, planet Fen, and they live under the ground. And that's my first adventure. And after that, Luke basically became my equivalent of a companion. And we went on many more adventures, and I'll tell you about them some other time. But that's my first one that I can remember right now. And more are coming back to me the more I think of it. So stay tuned for more adventures.